Hello and welcome back to a special edition of the Motorsport Games podcast. Today's episode is all about the NASCAR Heat Pro League finale, which is happening on Wednesday, August 19th. And to celebrate the occasion, we've temporarily lost my regular co-host, Luke, and instead we've got Jay Pennell, the general manager of the ENHPL. Welcome, Jay.
Thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed these podcasts, watching them and listening to them, so it's really cool to be on it. I appreciate you having me on.
Happy to have you. And joining us later on in this episode, we will be having ENHPL finalists Slade Gravett and Josh Parker, as well as digital media strategist for Chip Ganassi Racing, Elijah Burke. But before we get into that, I just wanted to have a quick chat with you, Jay, since there's literally no one better to talk to about the upcoming finale. Firstly, could you go ahead and explain your role and what you do as general manager of the Pro League?
Yeah, so I joined the Motorsport Games team, I believe it was in February of this year. I come from a long history in the NASCAR industry, about 12, 13 years working in that, from various roles of the media, working in the media as a journalist, to doing social media managing, to my last role was working with Richard Childress Racing as a PR rep and content creator, working with drivers like Daniel Hemrick and Brandon Jones and Paul Menard. So it was a little bit of a change to come to the Heat Pro League and to fill this role earlier this year, but it's been a really cool experience. As somebody at my age, you grew up playing video games and grew up racing NASCAR games, which was always what I gravitated to. So to come into this role, it's been really cool. It's been really eye-opening, though, to get to know these competitors really well. And my role is essentially to manage the league, to coordinate with the NASCAR teams. Obviously, the league is made up of 14 teams from the Race Team Alliance. So I work closely with everybody over on the race team side and the RTA side, as well as the folks from NASCAR. NASCAR is obviously really, really involved in this league. It is an official league, which is pretty cool to say. So just coordinating everything from setting the schedule to ensuring that the teams have the assets they need to help us promote, to managing the drivers' personalities and the things that come along with that. Once race day is here, I serve as race control. So I'm the one who sets up driver meetings, practice sessions, qualifying, and then in the race, I'm the one making the calls for cautions and restarts and any penalties that might come. So we've got a great team over in the UK that helps us with the production side of things. But that's kind of what I do. I kind of manage a whole lot of moving parts and pieces just to make sure that all of this flows nicely and occurs the way it's supposed to occur. So a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see, coordinating with our folks at ACES and with Fanatec to make sure that these guys are getting their equipment and have enough time to learn it and get used to it before we race.
And just as a really broad general question, what did you think of the second season of Pro League overall, in terms of broadcast, racing, commentary, the whole lot?
Well, I'm definitely a little biased, in the role that I am, because this is what I eat, breathe, and sleep, pretty much all day. I think we've seen an increase in competition from the drivers. Just going back and watching the races from season one, I think the racing has been a lot more competitive this year, a lot fiercer this year, which is really cool because, that's what drives everything. If you can do all the things right on the back end, but if they go out there and they don't perform and they don't race hard, it's, that's tough. So the guys have been doing their job, which is really nice. Ben and his team over in the UK have done a great job with the broadcast. I think the graphics and the little things that we're doing here or there are really improving the broadcast. I think we're going to have a really cool championship finale race. In terms of the broadcast, I've seen some of the previews of that and some of the new bells and whistles that they've been working on, and I think it's really going to blow people away when they see it. And I think when you look at the e-NASCAR world out there, the world of e-motorsports in general, I think when you look at our competition, our broadcast, I got to give a shout out to our broadcast team, Hannah Newhouse and Russell Cox, old Rusty Walrus over there. They have done a great job this year, and I've been really impressed. Rusty he's not a broadcaster. He's a content creator. He was somebody who was in our preseason at Hopefuls trying to get drafted, and he really kind of stood out as somebody who I saw as this guy could really fit into this role. And he's just kind of taken that role and run with it and has excelled really, really well at it. So I've been thoroughly impressed by this season. I think the numbers reflect that in terms of views and engagement and things that we've seen on our end year over year, which is really, really helpful. And I think when you look at us compared to, the other eNASCAR series that's out there, I think our stats kind of speak for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not just the broadcast team that has been impressive. It's also been the drivers as well. Who would you say has impressed you the most? I mean, we have had a few standout performances, no doubt, but if you had to pick one driver, who would you say has stood out the most?
Man, that's tough. I mean, if I had to pick one driver, I think it'd have to be Justin Brooks. I mean, to win 7 out of 13 races that he entered, let's not forget he was sat down for a week, and he still ended up with 7 wins and 3 in a row to end the regular season and take a wild card. So, just in conversations that I've had with him about his mindset and his outlook for season 1 and how that's changed for season 2, I think we've seen him grow as a competitor. We've seen him grow as a person, and that's been fun to watch. But you also look at guys like Daniel Buttafuoco, who last year had speed, but I don't know that he was necessarily a contender all the time. Proved himself to be a contender each and every week. And then I can't on the PlayStation side, that field is so tight. There's so many good drivers, and they're so close in that field. But I look at somebody like Maxwell Castro, who hasn't been in this league before, comes in as a rookie, wins the second race of the year, and wins the segment and locks himself in pretty early. And to give we're going to be talking to Elijah later from Ganassi, to take that team that finished last in the standings last year and give them a shot at a championship, the drivers' championship. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, that was really impressive. The way that he won the segment and everything, got the race win as well too. Really fantastic stuff. Well, you already kind of touched on the how close it's been this season compared to previous season. We have had, shall we say, ups and downs in terms of the cleanness of the races, but overall, because of course you are the one that's given out these penalties and all that kind of stuff. Overall, how would you say the season has been?
I definitely think there's been learning curves for the guys and for myself. Like I said, I come from a background of writing about motorsports and covering motorsports and then being on the team side, but I also used to officiate league nights at the local go-kart track here and things like that. I was part of leagues, and, these are the same issues that you have with cup drivers, the same issues that you have with, the go-kart drivers out there, and the same issue. Drivers are drivers, and they're going to be upset, and they're going to get in situations that, might not turn out the way they hoped, or they might look at somebody and say that move was this or that. So it's definitely been an interesting year to kind of navigate all of that. I feel like we've done a pretty good job. We've got a good committee in place that equally represents the league. So it's made up of myself from Motorsport Games, somebody from NASCAR, and somebody from the RTA. So when these decisions about penalties are being made, and we look at all this footage and things that people send us if they have issues, I'm not the only one making that decision, which is nice. I think the guys still think it's all just me. But no, I feel like we do have a good position, a good thing in place to kind of look at all of that stuff. But I think you look at the money that's on the line each and every night. These guys are racing for $2,000 every night that they were competing. And there's the difference between a first place finish and a sixth place finish is when it comes down to money, that's huge. And I think we saw that this year. And I think the aggressive driving and the need to get out there and go was definitely emphasized this year. And I think that was the result that you saw when there's $2,000 on the line, and the difference there between first and sixth is so big. These guys are going to do what they need to do.
Yeah. No surprises there. And what do you expect? Because of course we would have just recently announced our 3 finale tracks, which are going to be Michigan, Phoenix, and Bristol at night specifically. What are your thoughts going into that? How do you think that those 3 tracks are going to work with our drivers?
I think it's going to be good. I think you look at the racing that these guys put on at Fontana, which is a track similar to Michigan. That was some of the best racing that we saw all season long. I feel like that's a track that really allows these guys to get out there and race. I think you're going to see 4 or 5 wide through the corners, which is really exciting. And I fully expect these guys to put on a good show. throughout each one of these events. They are shorter races, which is something that's kind of throwing these guys another curveball. So they are going to have to adapt to that. But we've got lots of time to practice between now and the championship. As we go to Phoenix, that's a tricky track. I feel like every time I get on the game and try and race it, it's a struggle for me. So, but I know these guys put on good racing there last year as well. And I think as that intensity kind of ramps up, knowing the drivers are going to be eliminated at the end of the championship, contenders are going to be eliminated at the end of the first race and the second race, we're going to see a lot of hard racing at both those tracks. And then we're going to put 28 cars around Bristol Motor Speedway and let them loose. And I don't think there's a better way to finish the championship and finish the season than by doing that at the last great Coliseum, so to speak. These guys have been pretty fired up at each other all season long, whether it's in Discord or the Zoom chats that we have or on social media. So I fully expect that to happen again. I don't know if anybody's going to go out there and rattle somebody's cage or, move them or throw virtual helmets at them or whatever they're going to do. But I think we're going to see a lot of excitement in that final race.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I think all the fans at home are going to be looking forward to that on August 19th, coming up very soon. And we had a fantastic opportunity to sit down with a couple of the finalists, Josh Parker and Slade Gravett, and we had a chat with them. So let's go hear from them now. First of all, just want to say a big thanks to Josh Parker and Slade Gravett for joining us today. Why don't you guys actually go ahead and tell us who you drive for and all that kind of stuff? Let's start with you, Josh.
My name is Josh Parker. I'm from East Greenwich, Rhode Island, and I drive the number 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Gaming.
And Slade?
I'm Slade Gravett, 18 years old from Cumming, Georgia, and I drive the number 21 Spin Mustang for Wood Brothers Gaming.
Let's go. And I just want to ask both of you really quickly, very generic sort of question here. I'll start with you, Slade. What did you think of ENHPL Season 2 overall?
It's been a good season, to say the least, especially races like Las Vegas, for at least the Xbox side. They've been fantastic, caution-free, giving guys the ability to put their long-run cars into effect. The season's been overall great. The payment method, I think that's been pretty good too. Leads to exciting finishes at the end, people making moves to get that extra dollar or 100. The overall season, I think it's been pretty good. I think it's been very exciting.
And Josh, what about you? What did you think of Season 2?
Personally, I thought it was way better than the first season. I enjoyed they're showing up each week and kind of have to earn your money. It's just the thing you got to do in real life, and it's the thing you got to do in your everyday life. So, it brings more of a realistic thing going on coming to the racing world. So, like I said, bring what you got, and earn what you can. In Season 2, honestly, was obviously we have some things to work on, but way better than Season 1.
Just to kind of follow up with that, Josh, and both of you guys are Season 1 veterans back for the second season. Who impressed you the most in the Slade, for you switched from Xbox or from PS4 to Xbox, so completely different competition. But who impressed you guys the most this season from your competitors, and who do you enjoy racing the most? Josh, start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to say Red. Kyle Arnold, as we all know him by, the first couple races he finished up front, and I was like, all right, maybe he'll come back down to earth a little bit, but no, he stayed up there. You can tell he worked as hard as just like I did to get a better turnout than we did last year, and he stayed up there all year, and he's been fast every week, and he's a great guy. So it's awesome to see someone with a good personality and someone who respects everybody on and off the track to do so well.
Same thing for you, Slade.
Mine's Dan Botafuco. He was, I'd say, a mid-pack guy last season for Xbox, and he's come out here and he's done very well, very consistent. I think he's finished every race in the top 7. So he's had one heck of a season, and he has been up there with Brooks. Unlike myself, for some races, he's been up there with Brooks 24/7. So he's had a great season.
And what do you guys think of the competition level? You kind of already touched on this when we asked generally about it. But Slade, you're a great person having changed platform. Did you notice a difference going from one platform to the other? Or do you think that's more just about Season 2 versus Season 1 as far as the competition?
I'm PS4 at heart, obviously, but the competition's been a lot different. A lot of guys have different racing styles on Xbox compared to PS4. Those PS4 guys made me work a little bit harder for my my top fives and top sevens, to say the least. But overall, I mean, it's hard to say. I think the Xbox side is a lot harder to get wins, but on PS4 it's a lot harder to get top fives, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much saying that Dan and Track Bar make it really hard to get wins, but the PS4 side is so deep and competitive that it's really hard to get top fives when everybody's running that consistently.
And what about you, Josh? Have you found it more enjoyable out there going up against these guys, or how's it been compared to season one?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, a majority of our field are returning veterans, so racing with almost the same people. But the competition is really hard to explain because it's so tough. You have 10 to 12 guys out of the 14 of us that can win multiple races, not even just accidentally win one. But it's like Slade said, it's hard to just get a top five. So a win's great. 2 wins is unheard of almost on PS4. As you said, I think the most someone had this year was 2, maybe 3. But the competition's tough. So coming out with the top 5 is definitely it makes you happy. Obviously, you want to win, but if you finish top 5 on PS4, it's definitely soothing.
One of the things that kind of I feel like helped ramp that competition up was the change in structure of how the season was formatted. We went to a 3-segment season plus a wild card race. Each one of those segments kind of was its own mini season that locked guys into the championship finale. What did you guys think of that format? It was obviously different than last season. It kind of, last season was more team focused. You guys were racing with your teammate to win a team championship. This year, it's all been driver focused. What are your thoughts on that and how it changed things? We'll start with you, Josh.
I loved it. I mean, you're not out of it. You have 2 or 3 bad races. You're not out of it. You got a whole nother segment. Yeah, the segments are small, but it gives you another opportunity. So I was a big fan of it. Last year, I was kind of, had a teammate that I think I had an average finish of 14 out of 14. So it felt like no matter what I did for Chip Ganassi Gaming last year, it didn't affect me or my standings because I needed him to do well too. So it was kind of a waste of a year for me. But this year, I think it was a revamp. I think it was great. I would love to see this same format next year because, like I said, it gives multiple people different opportunities. There's no more excuse. Hey, I had 1, 2 bad races. It's like, hey, I mean, look at the first segment. The first 3 weeks, I think I got wrecked. So, I was like, hey, you know what? I'll go on to the next segment and see what happens. And I was lucky enough to win the 3rd segment. So, I'm a big fan of this format. Though I am saying that because I won the segment. So let's see what happens.
Well, and Slade, for you, it's kind of interesting because, you qualified into the championship through segment 3 by being the highest non-qualified driver at the end of the segment points. So what were you that got you into the championship thing because Brooks and Buttafuoco finished ahead of you that segment. What do you think of the format and getting into the championship that way?
I like this format a lot better than last season. I think me and Parker kind of had the same kind of deals with teammates in the team standings. I think I ended up being 2nd highest on PS4 last season, but was 8th in the team standings. So that kind of didn't match. But this season, driver standings I like it a lot better. The segments, obviously, I kind of have a different opinion because I didn't make it in for a segment technically. I would prefer kind of a overall, you did this good, kind of how I made it, obviously, because I made it like that. But the segment, it makes excitement every time. And you have guys who potentially, like Sam Morris, maybe a good example, who I think was, I want to say like 13th or 12th, segment 1. Segment 2, he didn't do too great, but segment 3, he had a pretty good shot to win. So you obviously have guys who might not do good some segments, but then segments, they're up there winning. So I think it's a great excitement factor overall. And it's just, I like it a lot better than last season, same as Josh.
And we kind of touched on the performances of season 2 versus season 1. I want to talk about something with maybe a little bit more weight behind it. What did you guys think of the driving standards in season 2 versus season 1? I'll start with you, Slade, on this one. Did you, because obviously the people watching the whole season, they would have known that there was a couple races there for different platforms where it was a bit touch and go, like, this race wasn't so great. But on the whole, would you say it was cleaner or dirtier than season 1?
It's hard for me to say because I switched consoles.
Right.
Everyone kept saying last year that, the PS4 races were cleaner. Everybody said PS4. it's kind of hard for me to say that now that I'm an Xbox guy, but there's been a few races I got to say that I was kind of uncalled for, unnecessary. Everybody just driving over their heads and just not good overall. But most of the season has been clean racing. The standards have been, I'd say, compared to last season, I think it's been about the same. At the end of last season, I got knocked up, beat around a bit. Kind of the same as this season going towards segment 3. But I think it's been about the same, but there's been a lot more penalties handed out. So, I'm all for that. If you get what you get kind of thing. But they've been about the same. Like I said, I've had issues with the same team for 2 seasons. So it's nothing's really changed for us at Wood Brothers.
And what about you, Josh? What's your experience this year?
To be honest, like I said, we have so many returning members from season 1.
Right.
I feel like the racing has been almost the same. I think the segments kind of changed the mentality of how people race each other a little bit, because if you look back at PlayStation for the first 2 segments, we went green almost every race.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're looking at the back half of the season when it comes down to go time, and obviously people are going to race different. It's just a mentality. You got to win. So, and we started having cautions at the end of it, and shockingly, ironically, the people that were involved in a lot of those incidents were the ones running for points. I mean, Road America was handed to me. I just stayed on the track. I was running top 5 the whole race. I can't take that away from me, but I wasn't a race-winning car. So, it's one of those situations where people are going to look back at it and, if they did it next season, they're going to double think what they're going to do. But I think it was just more of a factor of how the segments were broken down. Like I said, this whole first half of the year, it was fuel strategy, because we know we weren't going to have a yellow, and we never wrecked. And you had some beat and bang and nothing crazy. But then we get to segment 3 and you get to the wild card race, and obviously it's just how it's going to be. So I think the racing has been the same. It goes from race to race. It's not a season-long thing. It's just every situation that we're handed, we got to handle it differently. And like I said, I think season 1 and season 2 is pretty comparable about how people are driving.
We just announced the tracks for the championship finale. It's going to be an event with 3 races. So I wanted to kind of get you guys' opinions on those tracks. First track that you guys are going to race at is Michigan International Speedway. We saw some of the racing at Fontana earlier this year. I feel like that was some of the best racing that both platforms put on. What are your thoughts about racing at Michigan, and how do you approach this race 1 of what is going to be a 3-race championship, and how do you make sure that you guys are not in that bottom 2 to be eliminated as we go into race 2?
So I mean, Michigan to me is going to be like Daytona. I mean, it's going to be a lot of throttle time. The way that the races are set up, they're about a fuel run and a half, so there should be no fuel strategy involved, which is great. So it's going to be all track position. I mean, you're going to have to stay up front, and you don't want to get in back in the pack, because we really don't know what's going to happen from 15th place on, because we never had 15th place on, so we don't know what the heck's going to happen. So like I said, we're all going to learn. I think it's going to be we're going to learn a lot in the practice series. This is exactly what we have to do as a race strategy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Michigan. I think I have a good chance to win there. I think I have a good chance to win anywhere I go. So like I said, I'm just going to run Michigan like I ran Fontana, and that worked out for me. So like I said, it's time to tell. I'm going to use the practice races to really actually see what I'm going to do strategy-wise.
Same thing for you, Slade.
Michigan's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Same thing as Auto Club. I love tracks like this. So hopefully, same thing as Auto Club. We had a chance to win going into turn 3 on the final laps. Hopefully it comes up like that. But I think it's going to be a great race overall, especially with the PS4 guys and the Xbox guys coming together for the finale, for the 3 championship races. But Michigan, I mean, you couldn't have picked a better track to run for the first race of this championship at all, at all. Because you can just go 3 wide. Even some races we've had 4 wide at Michigan, some amateur league races. So this will be a very exciting race, to say the least. And like I said, hopefully we're going to be up front just like Auto Club.
And what about Phoenix? How do you feel about Phoenix, Slade?
Phoenix, I think, is probably one of the best short track races or tracks on the game. Very good track. You can battle it out. There's some short tracks where you can't really battle, kind of like Dover. You can have to stay single file. If you get moved up, you're kind of just stuck there, and you have your spoiler line in the back. But Phoenix, you can battle it out side by side. And if it's going to be like how most of the season's been, where everybody in the field's running nearly the same times. It's going to be a very good race. It'll be hopefully ending will be better than last year's Xbox finale race. But say at least I think that'll be also a very good race.
And Josh, what are your thoughts on Phoenix?
I mean, I love Phoenix. My only Coke Series win on iRacing was at Phoenix. So when I saw Phoenix in here, I was like, yeah, let's go. So I predicted we were going to have Phoenix somewhere in those 3 races. I mean, how do you not? So I think I have about 300 laps in there already. Just getting work on. Yeah. So I was just, if we didn't go to Phoenix, I was probably going to be a little mad. But yeah, so I put about 300 laps in it already. Like I'm with Slade. There's 2 grooves there. If you get moved up, you can still hold your own and battle that guy on the inside. It's going to be a good track. That both ends are different, so you can't set your car up just to be good at one end. You have to set your car up to be good at both ends. So I said no fuel involved in any of these races, so it's literally going to come down to the fastest guy, which is going to be good.
And then we wrap it up under the lights at a half-mile Bristol Motor Speedway. Bristol has been known to ruffle a lot of feathers in the real life, and we've seen a lot of feathers ruffled so far this year. We're going to have 28 guys who have competed all season long, racing, 4 guys racing for the championship, and $30,000 on the line. What are your thoughts about heading to Bristol Motor Speedway for race 3 of the 3-race championship finale?
I think the better question is, what are your thoughts heading into Bristol with 28 guys and $30,000 on the line? The way you're thinking is the way we're thinking. So, if you're starting shotgun on the field, you're starting 3/4 of a lap down. Try passing 27 other cars without going a lap down. It's not going to happen. You're going to be about 3 seconds off pace from the leader for the first couple laps. So now you're looking at almost a full lap down. So, if you're starting mid-pack on, you're pretty much in trouble. It's going to be whoever starts up front, and then it's going to be very hard to pass. It takes about 10 laps to make one pass. So now, like I said, you're going to put 20. It's going to be interesting. You can't really talk about it because we don't know. We barely run Bristol with 14 cars because it's tough. So running double the amount of cars with egos of 28 drivers with the same amount of ego, thinking everyone can win a race. If you're starting 27th with the mentality saying I can win this race, we're going to have big issues. So, if I'm looking at it as if I'm in the Final 4 and I'm coming down to it with, 3-4 laps left, it's, obviously if I'm in second, I know what I want to do to win the $30,000. If I'm in the lead, I know what I expect from the guy behind me to do, racing for $30,000. You saw it last year in the Coke Series. The guy ran, Keegan ran Zach really clean, for $40,000. And, I think that shows, which is good. I think that being such a huge deal is going to hopefully go in the mindset whoever's running second here. If it's 2 championship contenders, it's going to suck to finish second, but I think everyone's going to hold themselves accountable. We're all pros to run the whole race good. Like I said, all 28 of us. So like I said, we don't know what to expect. It's definitely a curveball, but like I said, we're going to make the best of it, and it's going to be fun.
Slade?
Same question for you, Slade.
I'm with Josh. I think it's a huge curveball, to say the least. It's going to be very exciting. I think like you said, a lot of feathers going to be ruffled. The racing itself should be pretty good. You can, like Josh said, it takes about 10 laps passing by. That is not an over-exaggeration. Like I said, if you start, say, 14th on back, it's going to be very hard. You're going to have one of the fastest cars in the field to make your way up there. Even then, it's still going to be very difficult. So this random draw qualifying is going to be very exciting, to say the least. I think it's hopefully it'll be a very good race. 28 guys on track at Bristol. It should be very exciting, like I said. Could be some guys may push some buttons here or there. Like I said, it's going to be a 3rd race of the night. So if you get wrecked race 1 or 2, it might go over to Bristol, which is never good. So like I said, Josh said for the Coke Series finale last season, you have a track like they were at Homestead, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Keegan ran Zach really clean, and hopefully that's how it comes down to this week at Bristol. But like I said, it's Bristol, it's not Homestead, so I think it's going to be a bump and run, potentially, depending on who it is, maybe a little door in the fence. I'm not saying I'll do that, but potentially who it is, it could be pretty ugly. But to say the least, I think it'll be very exciting, and it's going to be a good show, to say the least.
And just to wrap up with you guys, one final question, so feel free to take your time on this one. And I'm going to change it up from the question that I had planned, actually. What are you guys' thoughts on racing the full field? Is there someone on the other platform that you're excited to race against, maybe nervous to race against, anything like that? Slade, we'll start with you on that one. Again, in particular, if there's anybody on the other side you're excited or nervous about, especially, I would love to hear that.
I'm excited to race against PS4 guys again, to be honest with you. I'm mostly on PS4 in my spare time, so I talk to a lot of these guys just off the track, so it's going to be very exciting to race with those guys again. But 28, that's going to be Michigan, I think. It's going to be Michigan and Bristol are going to be two races that show what 28 cars can do, because Michigan's a wide open track. You could see a lot of 4 wide, potentially 5 wide. I don't know if we'll see that, but as always, you never know with the Pro League. And then Bristol, 28 cars under the tight blanket at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's going to be also exciting, but there's not really anybody I'm nervous a race against or anything like that. Like I said, there's a few guys on PS4 that I had some incidents with last season. Hopefully that's cooled down. And then the Xbox guys I've been on them all season. So can't wait to race against Parker, though. That was always fun last season, race against him and all PS4 guys. So I'm very excited for this.
And Parker?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking forward to racing, Track Bar and Brian. Justin and Brian go back. I've been racing with them when I first started sim racing back in the NASCAR 2003 days, so about 15, 16 years ago when we were kids. So it'll be the first time I race against them, and probably, I would say, a decade, 10 years. Yeah, so it's definitely going to be cool to be racing against them and to be racing against them in the championship. It's definitely going to be good to race against Slade because obviously, he was probably the most respected last year. But I'm not really worried about anyone. I'm just hoping, like I said, that everyone races to win. But obviously, you need to keep in mindset of the 8 of us and what we're trying to do. I expect people to race. I hate when people let me go, even no matter what it is. Do not let me pass you. Let me work for it. So I expect them to make me work for it. Just do it in in a good manner, where we're not putting each other in a bad position, unless you're the other 7 that I'm racing against. So, yeah, I'm not really nervous. I'm just more excited than anything, and I like to really see. There's always been talk who's better, Xbox or PlayStation. We're like, here you go. Now we have our chance. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, I am very excited. I'm sure Jay's very excited, maybe a little nervous as well, too, with that many drivers together on track all at the same time. It's a lot of people to watch simultaneously. But
we're gonna have lots of cameras going. That's for
sure. Lots of eyes in the sky. Yep. But I want to say a huge thanks to both of you for sitting down and chatting to us. And I want to wish you, both of you, the best of luck in the final on August 19th.
Thank you.
We also ended up getting the opportunity to speak to Brian Tedeschi, who qualified via the wildcard race most recently at the end of the second season of ENHPL. And we also sat down with Brandon Gritton, defending champion of Season 1 of the eNASCAR Heat Pro League. We are joined by eNASCAR Heat Pro League drivers Brian Tedeschi and Brandon Gritton. First of all, why don't you guys tell us where you're from and who you drive for? Brandon, let's start with you.
I am from Kokomo, Indiana. I drive for Stewart Haas Esports.
And Brian?
And I'm from Custer Park, Illinois. I drive the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang for Team Penske Esports.
Now, you guys are both Season 1 veterans who have made it back to Season 2. Brandon, you're the defending champion from Season 1, so that's obviously carried a lot of weight and kind of put a target on your back this season. Let's just for everybody, let's talk about the differences between Season 1 and Season 2. And what do you think? What are your thoughts on the season overall as we head into the championship finale? We'll start with you, Brian.
I think we had a really good season. In the beginning, I feel that our results really weren't reflective of the effort that was put in. Had a lot of rough finishes in the beginning, and then kind of like that end of segment 2, beginning of segment 3, I felt that we kind of hit our stride, and then wild card race lived up to being wild for sure. So it was really good. And then compared to Season 1, I just think the competition's gotten so much better. I mean, there's more depth, and just every race is a shootout. So you just always got to be on your A game, or else you'll be running 10th to 14th.
And Brandon, as the defending champion, you entered the season with that title. I think it's been a rough season here and there, but you've got some wins, and you're locked into this championship. Just talk about what Season 2 has been like for you.
I feel we've had winning race cars every week, other than Road America. We were way off, but I feel like I should have 5 or 6 wins easily this year. Like Watkins win, for example, I was leading by 2 seconds and just spun out all by myself. Dover, got a speeding penalty, things like that. I just made mistakes and gave up some wins. I feel like I said, our speed's been there. Last year compared to this year, I'd say last year we either won or we finished last. So this year, I feel like we've been a lot more consistent. We even led the PS4 standings all year. Last year, I was like 4th or 5th because, like I said, I'd win or lose really bad. So it's been like you said, up and down, definitely. But I'm proud of our season. We got some good momentum going coming off the second at the wild card race. So I'm looking forward to it. If we can survive Michigan and make it through that race, we'll be really tough at ISM in Bristol.
And Brandon, who's impressed you the most? Obviously, both of you being season 1 veterans, but who in season 2 has impressed you the most in terms of your competitors? Is there somebody out there that has improved a lot since season 1, or maybe one of the rookies that really surprised you?
Honestly, I got to go with both Jermaine guys. I mean, Red wasn't very competitive last year, and neither was Dan. And then this year, I mean, you got to beat them both on the PlayStation and Xbox side every week. So I'm really impressed with their turnaround. Rookies, I got to give a shout out to my teammate for winning a race in his rookie year. So that was pretty impressive. So, yeah, Dan and Red, I mean, they impressed me the most with how they came from where they was last year to this year for sure.
And what about you, Brian? Who's impressed you the most in season 2 so far?
I think there's really down between two people. First one is Justin Brooks. I'm not sure if it comes as a surprise. I was just more surprised as how dominant he was. I've known him for a long time. He always has fast race cars. Whatever game he's playing, he's always fast. So for him to go out there and dominate and win a lot of races like he did, that kind of took me by surprise. I knew he was always a consistent top 3 car, but for him just to go out there some of the races, he was in a whole different zip code. So that was big. And then the other person is Jordan McGraw, J-Mac Attack. Him coming in middle of the season, RCR being a season 1 veteran. For him to come in, step in, he had some really good runs to start off his stint. Really good. It's definitely a real surprise. I mean, he struggled a little bit last season, kind of found his groove toward the end, but kind of jumped right back into this deal and went right at it. So.
Yeah, and one of the other questions I had was, what did you think of the competition level? You've talked about the individual drivers that you've kind of pointed out, but this format was structured a lot different than it was last year. You know, last year it was all about you and your teammate, how many points you could both accumulate in a night. This year it's been all about you guys as individual drivers trying to race for this championship and lock yourself in throughout the year, while also trying to race for $2,000. Just talk about what the competition level has been like. Was this season more difficult than last season? I know we've seen some ruffled feathers and some hurt feelings, but just talk about that a little bit.
I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is just the format, like you said. It doesn't really reward consistency. More it rewards getting top 2s, top 3s. So you need to be on your game more often than usual, because one bad race, you're down in the points, and that pretty much kills your whole segment. So like with that competition, everyone knows that, and especially fighting for prize money, it brings out the best in people. And especially, I mean, we've had some races that were good, and we've had some that are a little rough. But I think at the end of the day, it just makes you that much better, and you know what you have to do, and you know kind of the job has to get done. And like I said, it brings out high competition out of everybody.
And same question for you, Brandon, on the PS4 side. I feel like, you know, that group is so tight in terms of the competition level. But this year I feel like it's been ramped up a little bit more. Did you feel that as a driver?
Oh, yeah. PlayStation, I've said it all year. Even before the season started, PlayStation was stacked this year. Like, you literally had the best of the best. I mean, how many drivers had multiple wins? Look at that. How many drivers on Xbox had multiple wins? You know, PlayStation, I mean, it was a dogfight every week. Like, if you run an 8th, you were stuck in 8th just because everyone was so close. So, yeah, PlayStation was stacked. You had to go in there, like he said, with your best game every night. So.
And what did you think about the format with the segments and the wild card, Brandon? Were you a fan of that, having it broken up into, you know, kind of smaller chunks, you know, and you get a points reset after each segment? Were you a fan of how season 2 worked out like that?
You're a fan of anything when it goes your way. If you have a bad segment, though, no. But yeah, I liked it. It definitely amped things up, brought the best out of everybody. So yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Especially when I got locked in, I really enjoyed it, man. So, yeah, it was fun. It was different.
And same for you, Brian. Were you a fan of season 2's format?
I was definitely a fan of it. The one big thing that I liked about it was just kind of using the different archetypes of racetracks and also using the Xfinity Truck and Cup Series. I think it's really neat to utilize all the NASCAR series, and we got to go to some cool racetracks, whether it was the road course, whether it was Eldora, short tracks, big tracks, anywhere in between. So I think that was really cool. And like I said about the format, it just made you that much better because you know you had to be, in order to win the segment, you had to finish up front and get the most points possible, because if you knew you had a bad day, you were going to be really, really down in points.
We touched on this a little bit, but with the way that the changes were in the format, the way that you guys were racing for prize money, racing for driver points, I feel like not only the competition level was raised, but the aggressiveness was raised throughout the season. Brandon, I think you welcomely wear the black hat a lot of the times, and conversations that I've had with you and your team members and things like that, and that's a good role to have. Just talk about what the driving has been like, what the racing has been like this season compared to last, with so much on the line.
I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is just everybody has that. We all like money. It's the easiest way to put it. And when it's dangling out in front of you like a carrot, you just got to go for it. And if it means at a road course giving someone a little nudge, throwing someone a door, kind of throwing a short slider on someone at Eldora, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Because at the end of the day, I mean, when it comes down to it for the championship wild card, somebody's going to do that to you. So I'd rather be in the aggressor position than the one getting put in the wall. So.
And Brandon, for you, like I said, I feel like in the league, you wear the black hat. I feel like Stuart Haas has the target on their back for good reasons, for being defending champions. But your team stands behind you 100% in your style of racing. Just talk about what that means a little bit.
It means a lot having them behind me. That right there alone, the energy from knowing your team's going to support you no matter what, helps a lot. But I don't rather try to wreck people, but if I give somebody the love tap, is what I like to call it, from back in my days of racing, and they continue to stay in their lane, you're supposed to move them up the track, not put them in the wall, but move them. And that's just how I grew up racing. That's how I was racing real life, and that's how I've always raced and always will race. So that's just how it is.
It got you this far, and it got you in the championship, right?
Exactly right. And just touching on a little specific, because obviously we just announced the tracks that are going to be in the final. So we just wanted to ask you guys a little bit about each track. So the first one is going to be Michigan, where you just have to be in the top 6 of the 8 finalists. So the bottom 2 are going to get knocked out. Brandon, how do you feel going into Michigan? Is that a track you feel strong at?
Michigan, anybody can win. I feel like it's kind of like a Daytona type of race. It's just be in the right lanes at the right time. So if you can survive Michigan, if I can survive Michigan, I'll make it to the Final Four.
And Brian, what are your thoughts on Michigan?
Kind of echo the same thoughts Brandon said. It's just the biggest thing is it's so much draft and work in the lanes, figuring out which lane's moving, which lane's not. And I think the biggest thing will be if it comes down to green flag pit stops, just making sure you get on the pit road good, get a good stop, get off of pit road well. Because if you don't really get a drafting partner, you're in big trouble when it comes down to it, trying to make sure you can get back with the lead pack. So I think that'll be the big thing. And like Brandon said, anybody can win. Michigan has proved in league races time and time again to be wild. So I expect nothing less in here.
Then for the second race, we head to Phoenix. I know this was a pretty big track for you guys last year. It's a unique track. It's got the dog leg where the start finish line is. Each one of the corners is different. How do you guys approach that track if you guys are in the top 6?
I think Phoenix especially is just, you got to be really, really on point. It wears tires pretty heavy in this game, so you have to make sure you have a car that's tight enough to make it the whole run, but also tight enough that you fire off on the short run pretty good. And you just always have to have adjustability in it, depending on whether you get a short run and a long run and a medium run, and you have to be able to adjust your car accordingly. And then it's just wild racing. You got people 4, 5, 6 wide going down through the dog leg, and then plus you got people on varying different strategies. So that will be interesting. I would say it races more like an intermediate than it does a short track. So I'm very curious to see how that'll work out.
And same question for you, Brandon.
I'm excited about ISM and Bristol. I mean, if you go back and look at the survey, I chose ISM, Bristol, and Richmond. So I got 2 of the 3 I wanted. I've always been a short track racer. I mean, those are my style. Draft ain't involved. It comes down to purely car and driver, and that's my style. So I couldn't be any happier with the track choices for them two track races. The
So
Smithfield Ford
you're pretty
Mustang
strong
track.
at Phoenix. So you
Oh,
think
yeah.
you can go pretty well there?
I think we have a good car. I just put in the same car we ran in the finals last year, and she ran just the way she left the race last year. So we're ready. We got to update a little bit. She's about a year old, but we'll tune her in.
And Bristol, you said you love the short track, so I imagine Bristol you're even more confident heading into compared to Phoenix.
I got my first ever Pro League win at Bristol last year, so I'm pretty. That was on Heat 3. Cars do drive a lot different from Heat 3, what we're at now, but I feel like I got a pretty good piece for that one too.
And Brian, what's your confidence level like for Bristol, considering you'll be on there with 27 other drivers?
I think it's going to get wild. I mean, it's a typical. That's definitely a short track, so it'll be kind of one lane, ride the top, and just try to roll up underneath someone and try to use the door a little bit to get the drive off and get them. So I mean, it's gonna be tough. I think there's going to be a lot of aggression, a lot of bumping and banging, and a lot of hurt feelings. So will be the big thing. Will just be track position. How can you? If I don't foresee us getting to a green flag pit stop, but if you take the caution right, maybe you could take 2, take none. And then just try to get up and just hope for the best. Because if you can hold the line, be the Ryan Newman of the Pro League and just not get past. So I think that will be a strategy for sure.
You touched on this a little bit, but 28 drivers in all 3 of these events. I know we've got some practice sessions all week long leading up to the championship finale, but this is the first time that in league history that we're doing this. What are your thoughts racing against 27 other guys out there with so much on the line?
I think it'll be a lot of fun. This is stuff that we've done in leagues forever. I know a lot of the Xbox guys, we race in a league that gets 30 to 40 people every week. So it's a lot of fun the more cars you have, but it just adds that level of variability. You just don't know what's going to happen. You have more people who haven't raced around each other, and you just don't know the aggression level or how everyone's driving style. So it'll take a little while to get used to. Kind of excited for the practice races these first couple of days just to get used to everyone. But I think once we get out there, I mean, these are the 28 best guys on this game. So I think it will have no issue.
Is there anybody from the other side that you guys are looking forward to driving against or racing against?
That's a tough one. I would say my teammate Corey. I've worked with him a lot, so it's always fun to race against him. I'm trying to think. There's just so many people. I mean, it's cool to race with all of them, especially the season 1 guys. We had the live events last year, so it was really cool to be out there both times for Charlotte 1 and 2, meet everyone, share some cocktails with everyone, and just kind of have a good time. So it's anytime you get to race with those guys, it's always fun.
And Brandon, same 2 questions to you, racing against all 28 guys racing at once, and then who from the Xbox side are you looking forward to rubbing fenders with?
Definitely track car. Can't wait to race against them.
Definitely some bragging rights on the line for you guys then.
Yeah, track bar is known to be the fastest guy over there, obviously, and I haven't won as many races as I should have this year, but I feel like when it comes to raw speed, out of all the 14 guys on PlayStation, I have that title. So I just want to go head to head with track bar. I'm ready for it. Hopefully we get the chance. We can actually, work our way through whatever we got to and be there. And I'm interested to duke it out with them. That's going to be fun.
Yep, it's going to be extra fun for us as the spectators as well, too. We're all going to be really looking forward to watching you guys out there. I want to say a big thanks to both of you, Brian and Brandon, for joining us for this Motorsports Game podcast. It's been an honor to have you, and we wish the best of luck to both of you on August 19th for the final.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Great to hear the thoughts of both of those drivers. We really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and head over to hear from Elijah Burke now, who sat down to speak with Jay and myself about Season 2 of the NASCAR Heat Pro League, the finale, and the future, and what's in store. Thanks very much to Elijah Burke for joining us. I'd like to start by asking you to first tell the ladies and gentlemen what you do for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me. I'm the digital media specialist over at Chip Ganassi Racing. I've been over there working on their social media content and esports stuff for the past 2 years now. So anything to do with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or if we can do it in the digital world, I have a hand in doing it. So I've been blessed to be there for the past couple of years and just trying to bring more content to the fans that they want to see.
Well, you guys have been putting out some great content, especially on your esports handles. I know the back and forth with Stuart Haas has been fun to watch, and some of the other teams. this being the second season of the Pro League, I know Ganassi had a rough season last year, but you've got a contender in the championship with Maxwell Castro. As one of the team reps who handles this from the team side, what have your thoughts been about the season 2 of the Pro League and how everything's been going so far this season?
Yeah, I've had a really fun time, overseeing both of our drivers, and both Luis and Maxwell have done an excellent job behind the wheel. And compared to last year, we didn't have the year we wanted, starting off the whole Pro League for the inaugural season. And I think for 2020, our focus was just to do better. And we have 2 rookies going in, and we didn't know. I knew they were going to do well in terms of just like at least compared to last year, because how good Maxwell was in the pre-race, the preseason races, and then Luis as well was finishing second to Daniel Botafuco a lot of the time. So I knew we had a good shot, but you also have a lot of other new drivers and some returning faces. So I had no idea how it would really go, as no one else really did. But I'm pleased so far. I mean, 5th in the team standings, and we got Maxwell going for the championship on Wednesday night, August 19th. So it's definitely satisfying so far, but we're not going to be totally satisfied until we get the goal of Maxwell.
And just touching on that, actually, were you nervous? Because, of course, you did get the preseason. You got to see the preseason, got to see these drivers perform. But were you still nervous going into it with 2 rookie drivers, considering how many teams had retained a driver or, taken 2 veterans from the previous season? Were you a little nervous with those rookies, or were you feeling pretty good with your picks?
Yeah, I mean, we had the first round pick again. So the nerve was there to pick the right driver, I think. And once we selected Luis, we went through all of his different statistics and everything we needed to analyze to know that he was the best possible first pick. And it's been tough this year. I know he hasn't got to victory lane yet, but it has been, for a rookie being thrown into this, I think, a really tough go at it. And these drivers fight hard every week. So that's a lot of the nervousness came in determining what pick we'd have. And of course, there's still a little nerves when you get to that first race and even now at the end of the season. But I was still very confident in him, seeing him at the top of the charts, because when I play NASCAR Heat and I get online, I'd always see on Xbox, it'd be CGMX Rose at the top of like every statistical leaderboard for everything, hot lapping, fast lapping. I'm like, who is this guy? He's fast. And if his racecraft is anything like his speed, then we'll have no problem getting a few wins or doing well. And we had some bad luck so far with just incidents on the track, but stuff happens, and he's been really fast. So very confident in him going to these last 3 races, as I have been all season for him.
And they have had a good result for you guys. Just to quickly cover for the viewers who may not know, Luis Zader finished 4th in segment 1, 5th in segment 2. 11th in segment 3 wasn't his best segment. Similar sort of situation for Maxwell, actually. Finishing 1st in segment 1, obviously won that segment, punched his ticket nice and early, which I imagine was a relief off of your shoulders. You were probably really excited about that. And then he got 6th in segment 2, so still upper half, and then 9th in segment 3. So segment 3 didn't quite go to plan for you guys, but overall it went really, really, really well. So would you say you're definitely happy with how both drivers performed over the course of the season?
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about how they've run speed-wise and their ability to showcase how they can run up front and compete for the win and compete for the lead, because these races are so fast-paced and there's money on the line this year compared to last year. So drivers are racing more aggressively, which is great for the fans and nerve-wracking for all the teams, of course, because someone in second is willing to make that move this year. Maybe they didn't want to last year. There's extra incentive. And we've been in that position to be having a top 5 run or, a top 3 or even a win. And it seems like in the last 5 or 6 laps, the last restart, somehow we usually get shuffled back to 12th or something. And I think that's where you see there were segment 2 and 3 results that we really didn't want compared to segment 1, but I'm still happy with it because at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. And I think we put ourselves in good positions, but at the end of these races, they get so crazy. I don't know how we haven't finished, outside the top 10 in all of them with how they go as a free for all at the end. But these drivers, they love to race, and we just hope that luck's on our side when it comes down to the last 10 laps.
You touched on Luis. I feel like he's kind of the the best on the Xbox side that hasn't won a race. And I feel like you said it's just kind of luck that's kept him out of victory lane so far. Maxwell obviously locked up the championship, the bid by winning segment 1 early on. He's had the rest of the season to kind of work towards the championship finale. Obviously, there were a lot of unknowns until this week. What do you think of Maxwell's chances going into the finals? Who do you think his biggest rivals are? Looking at, obviously, we're coming now between, he's not just racing against the PS4 guys. He's got everybody that he's got to go compete against. So I know he's had some run-ins here and there with some guys throughout the season, but what do you think his chances are, and who do you think his biggest rival is?
Yeah, I first and foremost think he has an excellent chance at winning it. His ability to build a setup is very, very strong, and his ability to race smart but race hard is very good. And I think the friendships he's made and maintained on the track are great. He has an all-around great personality, and he's not somebody who will rub you the wrong way and not come apologize about it or make things right. He knows that he wants to keep those good friendships and the allies on the track instead of his rivals. But in terms of competitive rivals, I definitely think it's got to be Stewart-Haas Gaming for us. So for him, he's going to have Brandon Gritton, who's been great, and Matthew Selby as well now, because they'll be both on the same platform. But you got to look at Justin Brooks and Daniel Buttafuoco have been the two drivers who are just winning. I feel like every week they're taking home the win. And having them all on the same platform is going to make it harder for him to get one and for Luis to get one. But it also, I think of it this way, if we have 3 races and the drivers can be eliminated 2, and then you have the final 4 in the final race, I think that there's a bigger chance for you to fall back further in the field and gain less points to team points. And there's a bigger chance for you to put distance between you and the guys behind you. So if you tick someone off and they're coming after you, and they'll have to go through more cars to get there. And with these races are really fast, right? So with how fast they are, not a lot of time to get back. So I think he's got a great shot if he can distance himself. And if he happens to use the bumper, I hope he really can.
The last, we've been doing the Get to Know the Drivers feature throughout the year. And the last one we did was with your guys. And it kind of surprised me because that was the first time they had talked to each other, face to face, so to speak, through obviously in the situation we're in now via Zoom. But obviously they've been working well together throughout the season without that direct communication of talking to one another face to face. Are you guys approaching this championship finale any different? You touched on the 3-race format there. Have you guys been doing anything on your side to approach this race differently than you have the segments?
Yeah, I think on our side, we have a group chat between me and the 2 drivers, and we talk about different ideas and how races go. And Maxwell's been helping out Luis with setups. So I think they're building, some unique setups for these 2-3 races that are going to happen for the finale. But I think also just on the social side too, aside from the race itself, we're just thinking of different ways we can bring value for our partners in the league and what you guys do with Motorsport and NASCAR Heat. Because at the end of the day, we want to give the most value to the fans and the people that support the series. So we want to win the championship more than anything. I mean, that's the most value. But at the same time, just thinking about cool little things we can do for the fans on social media and different things we can do that, if we do win, make it a lot more special and just add that the whole environment of winning the championship.
And speaking of the finale, what do you think about the format with all 28 drivers taking part? It's a much bigger field. I think it's safe to say excitement. It's going to be very, very exciting. Are you concerned? Do you think, can we expect to see more cautions, that sort of thing? What are you thinking?
Well, I just saw the tracks today, and I see it's Michigan, Phoenix, and Bristol. And I was talking to Maxwell on the phone, and I'm like, gosh, I hope they don't pick Bristol because I feel like everyone's going to go they're going to wreck each other. And I'm like, now I think about it, I'm like, that's going to be probably the best race out there because it's the final race and it's going to be a free-for-all. That's the race that I'm worried about because you could do as good as you want in the first 2 and make it to the final 4. But now you just you got to really know how to drive, stay out of the wrecks. And of course, these guys are pros. So I think we'll be able to race clean. But we've seen how the ends of some of these races have gone. And I'm worried about getting caught up in something, but like I said, I think Maxwell can distance himself. And for Luis, I know he has a shot to get his first win. Maybe it's the guys in the championship get caught up in something and end up falling back, and he sneaks through and gets it. So I am very excited to watch these next Wednesday. I will be sitting down in front of my TV with the Twitch app open and just I'll have my own pre-race show or something in my living room, just getting ready for it. It'll be so exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Are you doing any politicking with the other team reps? I know the voice over there is always in your ear and hitting you up on social media. Jake Morris does a great job of riling things up and making things interesting in the pro league. You said you got some things kind of in the works, special on the social side and digital side. Any digs on the voice over there?
Yeah, but by stuff on the social side, usually it's just trying to take jabs at Stuart Haas and in a fun way. No, Jake's a great guy, and he puts a lot of competitive spirit, even more so than we do at times. I think just he really puts a lot of passion into it, and I think it makes everyone else want to put a lot of it of their passion, their work into it as well. And we like to be competitive with them. We want to beat them. That's my goal. I just tell my drivers, if you can beat Stuart Haas Gaming, like that's our Stuart Haas Esports. That's our goal every race. If we can't win, beat Stuart Haas Esports, and it's just a little friendly rivalry. But you may see a few things on Twitter as we go into the final week here before the championship, and hopefully after the championship, you'll see a couple memes that'll be talking about us winning and Stuart Haas not being able to double down from last year. But we'll see how it goes.
What if you and Jake raced? Sorry to interrupt. I have to ask this question. What if you and Jake raced? Who would win?
Oh, I don't know if Jake plays the game or not, but I know I played every NASCAR video game since I was out the womb. So I would definitely take him down. I might put him 3 wide in the catch fence if possible, but I would like to say I would beat him. But if he wants to challenge me, I am more than up to it. I like to have that happen, and we live stream it and see what we can do.
Let's talk to the voice, see what we can do. I'm sure we can make that.
He won't back down from that challenge, I'm sure.
One of the things I was going to ask real quick was, I think when we were doing the race breakdown from Road America, we were talking to Josh Parker, who obviously drove for you guys last year and drives for Gibbs this year. When we were talking about that win in that race, he said he looked in his mirror and saw Maxwell behind him and just thought about you. You came to mind and all the work that you put into this league and into what Chip Ganassi Gaming has done. You talk about playing the game regularly. It's cool to have your support and have somebody who really cares about the game itself, the league, and these guys on the team side. So just talk about how that role is kind of developed and how that kind of differs from what you do on your everyday side, dealing with Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, and all the drivers that live in the Chip Ganassi racing world.
Yeah, no, and I'll first say that Josh was a great driver of ours. I'm glad to see him with a team like JGR this year. He's done a great job getting, I think, a couple wins now, and he did a great job winning for us last year. I think that the role has been, I think, special for our team and special for everyone in racing to have a new esports league, to see how much it's growing digitally across, NASCAR Heat, iRacing, even just the whole esports world is just continuing to expand. And it's great to have one that all the teams are pretty much a part of. And it's cool to be a part of that because growing up in that, it's just second nature to me to know the games, play them, and experience them. And the fact that, you can just pick up a copy of the game for, $50-$60 and go get online and play people and enter to be on the board of qualifiers for this league is it's engaging. And to know that I was on the other side, playing online with these people and developing, working through playing these games as a kid. And now I'm in a different position to kind of see things from the other side. And I know what it feels like to be on the other side of the screen, I guess, if that kind of makes sense. You kind of want to put more passion into it because that experience you had as a kid playing the games, and you just want to help give that experience back to those kids and even adults playing this game, in this current role. So it's a lot of fun. And, for my job, it's just more content for our social media at the same time, which is which is great. It's fun doing that and just thinking of new ideas and seeing people interact with them. That's the joy to me, is just to see how people react to, us winning or having a bad day or whatever, and us just, having fun in the end, or just creating a new community of engagement for everyone. So it's been a lot of fun.
And just to wrap things up, just looking forward to the future, because of course the ENHPL doesn't stop with this finale on the 19th. It keeps right on going. What would you like to see in season 3? If you could do absolutely, pretend you're in charge or something, would you change the format? Would you get more drivers? Would you have the payout structure be different? Any sort of changes you would make?
Personally, I've thought about a few things. I would really like to see, I know we can now do, which they did this for season 2 and didn't for season 1, was take cars that don't normally run on certain tracks, like the Cup car, and run it on Road America. And being able to do that, I think, was big. I think fans want to see that because it doesn't happen in real life. And I think these games are not meant to, they're meant to replicate real life to a degree, but do things that we can't do, like take cars like the Cup cars at Road America. Everyone's been asking that in the real world forever. Well, let's do it in a video game, and see how it is. So stuff like that. I think I'd like to see more cross-platform races, and I haven't seen one yet, so my answer maybe changes after that. But I will say that I think having 28 drivers, I'm like, whoa, like this is in NASCAR that's a big thing. I know when I get in an online lobby and see 28 people in there, it's like, this is going to be nuts. And those are 28, just could be 28 anybody's. With 28 pros, I think it'll be interesting. You're going to have more rivalries. You're going to have more action, stuff like that. I think we'll see how this one goes, and maybe add a couple more for next year. And I can't say I have any other things I'd change at the moment. There are a lot of things I like about the league, but they're always coming to me. And Jay, I'll forward them to you if I ever think of them.
Yeah, you've definitely been helpful on that, and appreciate all that this season. It's been it's been fun to work with you. I know I've worked with you a little bit in other roles and other capacities, but this has been fun, and it's been great to see how you guys, you individually, and then you guys as a team, kind of embrace this, and it's definitely nice to see that, because that's the key to it all, and it's the key to the success. The team involvement in this league is really what helps us make the difference. And like you said, for kids to just go on, or kids or adults or whoever it is, to go buy the game and have the opportunity to race for a real live NASCAR team. I mean, these guys are racing for Chip Ganassi, in the 30th anniversary of the season, or 30th anniversary of the team. So I think that means a lot, and your involvement and all the team's involvement truly means a lot to the league and to all the competitors as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on here, and I look forward to this championship event. I'm sad it's Wednesday night now and there's no eNASCAR Pro League race. I was about to get the Twitter out and get ready, and then I'm like, it's next week. Gotta wait.
You can jump in our Zoom meeting and listen to everybody complain at each other during our practice sessions tonight. So
I got plenty of Pop Secret popcorn here. I'll be there.
Good deal.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Elijah. Best of luck next week with the final. We hope we wish you the best of success with both of your drivers, and I'm sure we'll see you back for season 3 as well.
Yes, thank you, Justin and Jay, and I hope the next time we get to talk, we got a trophy in my hand and not Stuart Haas Esports. Sorry, Jake.
I like it, and we'll work on that race between you and Jake.
All right, I'm down. Anytime, anywhere.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you so much. That's it for this episode of the Motorsport Games podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to follow our social media to be notified when the next episode is going to air. And make sure to tune in for the ENHPL finale on August 19th, NASCARheat.com/live. Thank you, Jay, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun talking about the Pro League Championship finale. It's been a fun season so far, and make sure you're following those social media accounts. I have a feeling after the championship finale, there's going to be some fireworks on there, just following the fireworks on the track.
Exactly right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in again, and we will see you next time on the Motorsport Games podcast.